Welcome to Lifehacks 2.0. Are you with me?
Welcome back, everyone, to a new season of Lifehacks, where we get to connect with none other than our very own founder and executive chairman, Dr. Sri Vijay Eswaran. This time, we're going to share life hacks on the power of intention, building relationships, and understanding trespass. So join us. Dr. Sri, thank you so much for being with us today.
Good to be here.
Dr. Sri, I want to talk today about intent versus mechanism. I've listened to many of your speeches, your shares, your stage sessions, your modules, where you talk about the importance of intent versus mechanism. Now, for many of the listeners out there, we want to know, can you explain this philosophy? Like, what is this all about?
Intent is about the strategy, as you know, bridging between your ideas or visions and the implementation. The implementation falls into the mechanisms. And many a time, that will automatically fail. The issue being that one cannot make the mechanism the be-all and end-all. The mechanism is merely what it is, a bridge to your final destination. Now, to get to your goals. Now, the issue would be that if the intent is sound, then eventually the mechanism will fall into place. But if the intent is flawed, no amount of perfection in the mechanism will help you achieve your goals.
You talk about intent being sound. What does that look like?
Intent has to be based on something beyond, say, profit, for example. It has to be based upon certain principles, values, ethics come into play, there's a morality. All of this, must be part and parcel of intent. Intent begins essentially, in the person that you are. It begins in your, a lot to do with your character and your integrity. But eventually, intent is about achieving in some part the next phase, the next step, the next, process or the next procedure that you need to accomplish in order to move towards your goal. So, it can be just about anything.
Okay. And I've heard you say as well, when the intent is clear, the mechanism doesn't really matter. Is that true?
Let me use an analogy that I've used many a time. You could sit up all night preparing your vehicle for a trip that you're going to make, up north. And you'd leave very early in the morning, beat the traffic, speed along, merrily along your way, enjoying the wind and all of that. Then you look out and the milestone says you have just gone 100 miles south. On the other hand, you could have left with a bicycle that's already punctured, and you should be rolling that bicycle along, trudging very slowly, but heading south. So regardless of the mechanism that you use, intent is what makes it fall in the correct destination, correct direction, so to speak.
Do you believe in this accidental success? So, for example, when you started the company, I don't think that you actually had a business plan. You started in the midst of a crisis.
Mm-hmm.
So you had one plan, which was to make sure that you kept your promise to a certain group of individuals that put their faith in you. And now we're here 25 years later with all of us, this beautiful company that you've built. So is it possible to have accidental success?
Well, it's true I didn't really start off with a business plan per se. But I had a business plan that was 24 hours long. I had to go on a day-to-day basis. So I need to plan every day first, survival being the key. Hence, there were business plans that evolved, and eventually I had the luxury of stretching my business plans from a day to a week, and subsequently to a month, and a year, and so on. So the issue was that as a startup, it's about survival, it's about instinct, and it's about intuition, and it's about getting up again constantly. Success can never be accidental. I mean, accidental success is another word for failure. Accidental success is like a lottery. And I read somewhere that Reader's Digest survey went back 50 years, interviewing people who had, got $10 million and above. All right, in the lotteries that were throughout the states, the state lotteries, the sweepstakes, they are incredibly huge amounts of money. So $10 million, I would imagine, would set anyone up for life. So they went back 50 years to, survey these people. Almost half of them lost their money within 24 months. 10 million bucks. The half of the remainder lost it within 5 years, and hardly 5% of them were able to keep it beyond that, into 10. So it seems ludicrous, but the fact of the matter is keeping money is a lot more harder than earning it. So accidental success doesn't help you in any way. It means you don't know how you got there. Right? Which means that you don't know how to get back there.
Right. So accidental success does not necessarily mean repeated success.
Success has to be repeated because ultimately success is about the failures.
Yeah.
The more failures you have, the more sound your success, the more long-term, the more permanent, So my secret formula for success is simply get up again.
Yeah.
Which means you're bound to fail. And failure is one of the greatest masters you're ever going to have. Pain is necessary, but suffering is a choice.
Right.
So the issue is that if you can get past the pain, then it's got the best lessons for you to learn from. If you get, pulled into it and tangled, then suffering sucks you into the quicksand. But the whole objective of this is to get up again, and nothing is actually an accident.
Can you take us back to 25 years ago when I've heard the stories where you talked about that 25-year plan.
Yes.
I mean, what kind of goals were you thinking at that time? that just absolutely terrified you.
That 25-year plan, the first one I drew up and put up on the board, so to speak, was a result of intense frustration. Primarily because every single time I had to step up before a bunch of journalists, if you like, everyone was asking for this 5-year plan, right? And I was already struggling to put together a 12-month plan. A 1-year plan would have been, for me, audacious enough. However, this is what they wanted to hear. This make them, sleep better at night. This 5-year plan kind of it reverberated in my head. Hence, on the back of a sheet of paper somewhere, I put together the biggest, most audacious, goals I could think of. Ones that I never imagined for a moment that I would ever be able to reach. But ones that would make my life a lot more interesting. So, in essence, it was something that was put together in a moment, and I just fleshed it out on the board. And so these are the things I want to do. And incidentally enough, I think we hit 7 out of 10 at least.
Right.
So it's there. It's really proof that visions can become reality.
Yeah, amazing. So if you could sum up what you just shared today, I mean, what would be that one takeaway that all of our listeners could apply immediately after listening to you today?
I like Gandhi for some of his very, very powerful statements. Without doubt, he remains one of the most powerful men of the millennium. Simply because his thought processes were never, they were unfettered. They didn't hold them down to various caste, color, country, divisions, and so on. They were universal, and I could relate to them. And one of the best statements he made that still in my head is, plan for 100 years, but live every day as if it is your last. And I always try to do that.
Amazing. Dhatusri, thank you so much for all those incredible insights. And I'm sure we have all learned some valuable life hacks on intent versus mechanism that will help keep us on track on our own life journey. Thank you for watching, and we will see you again in the next episode.